Hello, grade 12s. Welcome to today's show. It's economics, and I am Spiwe Vilagazi. So in today's lesson, we will be looking at the circular flow model of an open economy. Remember that in grade 10, you were first introduced to the circular flow model, and we learned about the interaction between households and firms, and also we learned about the important role that government plays in the economy. So this year we're going to expand a bit on that knowledge or information that we learned in grade 10, and we're now going to add more information regarding the circular flow. So let's get straight into it. So remember that in macroeconomics, we study the economy as a whole. So we're not just looking at a section of the economy, but we look at the economy as a whole. So it's important that you are able to distinguish between what we call microeconomics and macroeconomics. So macroeconomics focuses on the economy as the whole. So the economists represent the economy in the form of a circular model flow, which shows the different participants. So that's the important part there. Who are the different participants? Who are the different people, sectors that interact in this particular flow? So we're going to look at how the participants in the economy interact with one another, because they all use scarce resources in order to try and solve the problem of scarcity. All right, so going back to Maslow, the philosopher, when he designed the pyramid that looks at the basic needs of man, we know that there are things that we can't live without. We all have these needs, access to water and so on, and shelter. So those are the things that we need in order to survive. So remember, economics is designed around the concept of scarcity. The point that we have limited scarce resources and unlimited wants and needs. We all want this, we all need that, but the planet is this small, and all these different participants want a piece of this pie. So now decisions have to be made on how to allocate this or these resources in order to make sure that we address the problem of scarcity. Okay, so economics, remember, it's all about what can we do to address the problem of scarcity, because we have limited resources that we need to allocate to the different participants in order to address this particular problem of scarcity. The circular flow model of the economy is a simplification showing how the economy works, okay? Because we often hear people talk about the economy is not doing well, the economy is not performing well, what can we do? So when we look at the circular flow model, we get an understanding of how the economy works. And also we look at the relationships between income, production, pull out the last one, and spending. Okay, so those are the three important things that we're going to be looking at later on. We're going to look at income. Remember that households have to earn an income because they sell the factors of production in order to receive income. Also, for production to happen, they need resources in order to carry out the actual production. And then also spending comes because we have needs, therefore we have to purchase goods and services in order to satisfy our needs. So we earn an income and then we spend it in order to get goods and services. So let's have a look at this diagram below here that shows us the relationship between production, income, and spending. All right, so remember here, it's where we make products, okay? So products are produced here, and we have needs that we have to satisfy. So what we do, we will sell our factors of production in order to earn income so that we can spend in order to survive or in order to meet our needs. So people that are involved in the production process will earn income by selling their products to the households, and the households will then after paying for or after selling their factors of production will earn income and then use that money or spend that money on goods and services. So in the flow itself, we want to understand the relationship between these three important factors: production, income, and spending, because they are linked. So you can't make products if you don't have income. Okay, so you can't make things when people are not going to spend their money on. Hence, when we talk about market research, it's us trying to have an understanding of who needs our goods and services. So you can't produce if you know that you haven't got a specific target market that will purchase those goods and services. So it's important that we understand this concept, we understand the relationship between production, income, and spending in order for us to understand how the economy works, and also in order to understand how the different participants interact with one another. So, now that we've looked at the relationship, so what can we conclude? So an increase in the production of goods and services, so that will happen over here. So if there's an increase in the production of goods and services, this will lead to an increase in income. Okay, so the income will go up because there are goods. There's a huge demand for goods and services. So the households are in need of these services and also these products. So the income will go up. And so when the income goes up, and then in return, we will increase our spending because we've got more money in our pockets, and therefore we can spend money on purchasing products and services in order to satisfy our needs. Okay, so you need to understand this important relationship in order for you to have a good understanding of how the circular flow model works in an open economy. All right, so we're going to move on, grade 12s. Things are warming up quite nicely. So let's have a look at this diagram that represents the circular flow of an open economy. So we're looking at the different participants. So if we have a look here, we've got the business sector over here. We also have the factor market over here. We've got the private households over here. And then we've got the goods market over here. And then we'll come back to the financial market over here. And the reason why we call this an open economy, it's because it includes the foreign sector. So if it was a closed economy, it will then exclude the foreign sector. It would not be part of this circular flow model. So it's important that you understand that the difference between a closed economy and an open economy. So in this instance, because we're looking at an open economy, we have included the foreign sector over here. All right, so just a bit of a recap, some of the stuff that we did in grade 10. So let's have a look at the private household. So these are the people, us, the consumers. We have needs and we have the factors of production that we will sell in order to generate income, in order for us to spend and purchase the different things that we need. And also we want to earn income. So we will look at that as well. And then also we'll look at the role of government in all of this, because that's very important as well. So now it's important that you understand the relationship between the different participants that we find in a circular flow model of an open economy. So we will look at the business sector, the factor market, private households, financial market. We'll look at the goods market as well, and the important role that government plays in the circular flow model. And because this is an open economy, we're also going to look at the foreign sector. So looking at the circular flow model, we see the following. So now we're looking at the different participants that I mentioned earlier on in the diagram. And I'll keep on going back to that diagram in order to explain a couple of things. So the first participant that we're going to look at is the household. So it's us. So here it is the primary participants, and consumers of goods and services. So it's us, the ordinary people, people that have needs, and we want to satisfy these needs, and we have the financial resources in order for us to purchase these needs. So we fall under the household market. So I'm going to try and sketch people here. Okay, excuse my artistic skills, but that just to give us an idea that this is us, the people are all the consumers of goods and services. Okay, so we sell our factors of production, that's labor, in the factor market to the businesses. Remember, we have skills and expertise, and businesses or in the factor market, they need these skills and expertise, so we sell them. So for example, I'm a teacher, so I've got a particular skill, and therefore that's labor, and then I go and sell that in the factor market in order to get income. So people sell their skills. You're not sell, but you use your skill to generate an income. So that would be part of the labor market. So maybe let's also recap on the factors of production. So we know that they are land, and we've got labor over here, and then capital. Okay, and entrepreneurship. Okay, so these are then the 4 factors of production that we are referring to over here. And then in return, we receive remuneration. Okay, so from land, we'll get rent. Okay, and from labor, we'll get wages or salaries. Okay, capital will give us interest. And then from entrepreneurship, you earn profit. Okay, so when we talk about the return or the remuneration, we're referring to what you get when you have provided the factor of production in the business or in the factor market as well. Okay, so with their remuneration, they buy goods and services on the goods market. So now that we have earned an income, we know that we have needs that we want to satisfy. So now we have the financial resources, so we have the money to actually go and purchase these needs. So that is why we sell these to the factor market in order for us to generate an income so that we can use this income to purchase the goods and services in the goods market. So we're using the remuneration, and now we are going to then get the goods and services from the goods market. Okay, so it's important that we note that. Moving on to businesses. Okay, so businesses manufacture goods and services. Okay, so they make goods and provide services. They buy the factors of production from the households. So we mentioned this. Okay, in order for the manufacturing to take place, you need people, because people supply the labor. So you can't really manufacture if you haven't got the skills and the expertise to do so. So the businesses rely on the households for this particular factor. So in return, the businesses will pay remuneration to the households so that they are also able to purchase the goods and services that they want. Okay, then moving on to government. Okay, so earlier on, I mentioned that government plays a very important role in the economy because the government provides the infrastructure. Without the infrastructure, it would be difficult for businesses to conduct business or to survive, because they need roads to transport goods from one point or from one place to another. So without the proper infrastructure, we won't be able to be effective and also efficient in what we do. So government plays an important role of providing the public goods and services, for example, safety and education. So the police department will fall under this. The public schools that we have are part of the government sector. So the public schools fall under government. It's a service that they offer. So without public schools and the police services that we have, we will have difficulty as businesses. So it's important for us to acknowledge the important role that government plays in the providing of public goods and services. And then government receives revenue from tax. So households, businesses, they pay income tax, and government uses the revenue or the tax that it collects in order to provide public goods to the people. So it's important for us to look at the important role that the government plays in the economy, because, you know, we often think that the government just takes and takes and takes from us. But when we pay income tax, that money is used to improve our infrastructure and also to make sure that the public goods are provided to the ordinary South Africans that need access to those. All right, so we will now take a short break, and when we come back from the break, we'll continue with some exciting stuff. Remember, it's economics. Don't go away and stay tuned.